Hello everyone, I see we're getting a black box up in the corner from the viewer numbers again. Let's see if we can fix that. Hopefully that has got rid of it. I will see once the lag goes. That was quite annoying last week. It's alive, yes Alex, it is. And here we have an i3, well hey, that has got rid of it, and the YouTube viewer numbers have come up. Even better, that's what we really want to happen. How is everyone this evening? It is good to be back here at the workbench after a rather frustrating week. I am looking forward to sitting with you, chatting, and building some models. So I'm hoping that some of you watched the recap through the week, and I know at least some of you did, because I did show in that recap video how we deal with the corrosion that builds up from the flux when doing soldering. I just want to say I did actually leave the flux on the chassis on purpose so that I could do that. We're about to solder together a current sensor. Oh, very nice. I'm fine. You did? Yes, you did indeed, James. You commented on it as well. That is how I know some of you watched it. So, I have decided, after much thinking and much studying of prototype photos and drawings, that we will have a go at making the brake rigging on the bottom of the chassis, because I have worked out how it goes. I have made some slight alterations to make sure I can make it go properly. Haven't watched it? Ah, well, if you want to know how to get the corrosion off from your flux, that's the thing to the fact that there's still some bits on there that I've missed in green. Nail varnish remover is your friend. And with small areas like that, in fact I've got one out already, let's not waste another one. Cotton buds. Q-tips, as they would be called in America. Acetone is the active ingredient here. And it just nicely cleans off any of the corrosion to bring the brass back to how it should be. So there's probably a few little bits on there I've missed, but I did leave quite a lot on there for the point of the video. So before we get started, I've been doing some experiments through the week using one of our old projects, because I found a figure who was looking quite reasonable for what I wanted, but he needed a lot of hacking about, so I decided I'd hack him about, have a test, make sure I really could make a figure look how I wanted properly. So before we get going, let's bring the Thunderbolt back out, and you can see now being driven by the vicar in the same clothes worn during the film when him and the Reverend were driving. Hand over on the regulator, other hand on the side. So that is a bit of figure sculpting done there from a white metal figure I had. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can find a figure that is a close enough match for the Reverend, and then we can do that on stream together to give the Thunderbolt its crew proper, get some coal in the tender, and call that one done. Nice vicar, good reference, wonderful, absolutely lovely. Thank you guys. Hello Harry and welcome. How are you this evening? I am going to start the evening with a bit of hydration. Tell you what, I had some crisps for the first time this week today. That must be what it is. So, brake gear. Obviously this defeated us last week and did leave me quite frustrated. But I went away, I did lots of research, looked at lots of prototype photos. Every photo I could find, in fact. Obviously with a loco like this, that's not necessarily so easy. Because, you know, none of them survived through to preservation, and obviously in BR days they were a bit... How many packs? Only the one packet, James. Okay, so I'm doing okay after a frustrating week, Harry. Generic fizzy black drink. Generic sugar-free fizzy black drink, actually, A1. Always sugar-free. Because I am trying to lose this weight. I'm getting there. So yes, finding prototype pictures that actually showed the brake rigging was not easy. However, I went through everything I could. A good source of looking for pictures actually is, for locos like this, of course, is actually eBay, where people are selling photos of them. So that is a good tip for everyone in the future. But so these rods do indeed want to go further onto these so that they sit much closer into the middle of the loco. A bit more like that than on the edge as we had them last week. And that gives us our correct space in there for them. Because whilst, as it was said last week, it's not an overly important detail, it is one I want to get right. Should at least be putting these on here the right way round. That would help. So they go together much closer together than we had them last week. And then they sit between the frames. And honestly, we did all the hard bits of this last week, so we get them closer together. We can see that they're now, I mean, at the moment, they're under the frames. Best kind of generic black fizzy drinks. Yes. Yes, it is. A1. Flicker is another good source, indeed, James. 4 skeleton archers on horses spawned by me in Minecraft. Oh yeah, avoid skeleton horses, Alex, when you're playing Minecraft, because they get struck by lightning, and 4 skeleton archers turn up on the top of them, and it's not fun. Although if you kill the skeletons, you can then tame the horse and have skeleton horses, so you know, there's my Minecraft tip for the evening. You only get one. This side needs to go further along, but chances are we will manage that when we solder it. Because of course there is a big blob of solder in its way at the minute. So I'm going to stick some blue tack on this leg to stop it moving about too much. Get this leg soldered on. Probably turn the iron on, that might help. And then we can, using the ceramic, try and push this further on when we melt the solder on it. Too late, Lightbringer made short work of them all. Fair enough, you'll find more, Alex, don't worry. whilst we wait for the iron to heat up, obviously it won't be long, we were discussing this before stream. So here in the box I have a rather old knackered looking Triang motor. Lifted out a loco. Won't have run for at least 5 years, possibly even longer. So, no idea what condition this is in. It looks to be quite a bad one. Although, the brushes look like they've still got quite a bit of carbon on them, so they can stay. But it is very dirty, very worn, so that should be a fun project for refurbishing. By comparison, here is one that has been refurbished by me. And so you should see, you know, it's all not, everything's nice and clean and shiny. Big bright magnet, and this one runs beautifully. This is here just in case the one that I'm going to refurbish is a bit beyond it. It's very rare that they are beyond fixing, but if you burn out the armature, there's not a lot you can do, and I couldn't guarantee that that one's not burnt out, so just in case, I have a pre-refurbished one that I have tested and know runs really well. Right then. Soldering. Plenty of solder here. That's not quite what we wanted to happen. We're off to a good start. Yes, the venerable old XO4. Very much a favourite of mine when it comes to motors. There we go, so that is now stuck. That appears now to have actually gone on further. Let's check. I just want them inside the frames ever so slightly. Could use with being a bit further on. My old boss used to refurb Triang stuff all the time, so yes, the motors must have been built to last. Well, they really were. I mean, I have some original pre-Triang stuff and the motors are still going strong. They can, with the right love and care, be as good as any modern motor. I think that's on far enough there. So now, of course, the trick is to have these actually be parallel with each other whilst we solder this end on. The first key to making them run that well is magnets. Magnets that I buy in large quantities. Very shiny, rare earth magnets that will never lose their magnetism and are significantly stronger than anything that ever came out of Margate. You all in a pile? Good. True, and it's amazing just how much old stuff is still out there and running. Indeed it is. Of course, the things you hear about, like 30, 40-year-old kit-built locos still running. There's no reason the 30, 40-year-old ready-to-run stuff can't still be running. There we go. I understand these are stronger, but can't you recharge the old one? Yes, you can recharge the old one, but my new magnets are still stronger than the old ones after a recharge. And are rare earth, which means they will never... They're neodymium, which is a rare earth, which means they will never lose their magnetism. Unlike the triang ones, which even if you recharge them, eventually will lose their magnetism again. Because they are just magnetised steel. Right, let's put some flux on there. Depends on how much it's been used. I have stuff in my attic that hasn't been run since the early 90s. Yeah, those remagnetisation machines are really expensive as well. That's another point. Whereas these motors, these magnets cost me about 50p each. And yet somehow people get away at selling them for a £5 each on eBay. Oh yes, they are, fair enough, but isn't rare earth magnets expensive? No, Harry, they're not. Not in the slightest. They are unbelievably cheap. There we go, that appears to be on. And again, I'm going to flux it because I don't think there's actually any solder on the rodding at the back. So I say these were about 50p per magnet, and they're from First 4 Magnets. First4magnets.com. So strong, they come with a safety warning. And they've started picking up parts in there, which really isn't helpful. Yep, that's okay, that should be fine. I do like First 4 Magnets. It is amazing the type of magnets you can get and how cheaply you can get them. It is quite tempting to experiment with some other detailing things using magnets from them. Wow, things are only fun if they come with safety warnings. Exactly, Alex. Safety warnings equal fun. We all know that to be true. So these are going to need their holes putting back in them with the pin. just to clear the solder out. I wish I'd stop knocking the camera, and I bet you do as well. Actually, I'm going to do the top holes again as well, even though I haven't used the top holes, just to make sure everything is clear. I'm going to lay this down before someone thinks I'm sponsored, because hashtag not sponsored. There's a lot of solder on this one. So far, I cannot see where the hole actually is for me to poke through. Which of course makes things a little bit harder when trying to poke the hole through. I think I've got it now. Yes, there we go. I think I've done that top one on there. But yes, I had to play with the XO4 the other day to see how well it would fit inside the loco, and it fits rather beautifully. Of course, the reason I did that is I have the original wheels one of these kits as well, which was designed to use the XO4. So I thought, I wonder if the new chassis can use the XO4 as well. It's going to need some work doing to it. The motor will sit down this way. So some mounting points will need to be cut into it, and something put across the back to hold the motor up. But that should be nice and easy to do. And it fits inside the body really well. Nothing needs removing. All the cab detail can stay in place. It is genuinely like it was designed for it. I don't know why I'm putting the flux away. I'm going to want that, because of course we are now going to start putting the brake hangers on. Which go in their pairs like that. These two go on this side, these two go on the other side. Lay them down here. Not really got much clearance on that one. I do on that one though, so we'll do that one first. Just a little bit of flux. The good thing about using proper solder is we can position it like that and it will hold itself up in place, unlike the white metal solder. And just like that, it's on. Now I do think I'm going to have to hold this one in place using my fingers as a heatsink for a soldering iron, which is never fun. But there we go, we got it. That one looks angled down a bit. We got it. Much better. And so now we want to do the same on this side. Has anyone got any projects going on? Obviously James is doing his bit of soldering, Alex is Minecrafting. What is everyone else up to this evening? Oh, get that back up there. Building my fictional branch in TS, having some fun with that. Excellent. Both those things sound good. And still trying to find a 2721. Yeah, fair enough. Greatly underestimated how much jungle wood I needed. Luckily I'm right next to jungle, isn't it? Always helps. It does indeed always help. There we go. Brake rigging. Yes, that way round. So now it's not going to catch on the wheels. It's in fact going to sit behind them. And dark oak and fines and iron. Well, I mean, iron you can make a farm, and vines you can make a farm. Hydration is important. I need to back to the snow forest to get spruce. Get saplings and you can grow all these things at your base, Alex. That's all I'm going to say. So yes, we are now back to the point that we were at a week ago, when we were being really good at this. Which means we are moving on to the next bits. There's one of them. I know the other one was there somewhere. There it is. So this attaches to the end of these with a bit of wire, and then attaches to this hole with a bit of wire. Once that's done, we'll have to look at actually attaching the brake rigging, the brakes to the chassis, because otherwise everything's going to fall off. So let's see where the holes for this are. So the holes for the brakes, one there and one there. So before we do anything else, I'm going to get my brass wire and we're going to check it actually fits through the holes. It does not on that side, and it does not on that side, but that's okay. Let's get my duster back down and I can clean the flux off this pin. So you can really see on this pin where it has been used in the flux because it's so badly tarnished. Don't know what that little hole's for. Those holes look better. Things falling off is not things not falling off is optimal. It helps. Well, I've heard rumours that you should aim for things to not fall off. That one doesn't look so good. That fits. That fits. That fits. And that fits. There we go. That's what we wanted. Everything fits. Which hopefully we can also approve of everything fitting. So the first thing we'll do is the wire through here with the brake hangers. We will then get the wire through all three of these and get it all hung. So I'm going to put that to the side. Get my snips. And we're going to take off the first bit of this wire because it's rather bent. Definitely approve of everything fitting. Excellent. Now, I don't think this is going to fit. No, because of course we forgot to widen these holes out when we were doing all the others. But that's okay. See, we're not getting frustrated with it this week because we've done our research. So now we see if this will fit through the centre hole that we've just poked through. No. What about on the other side? No. So I'm going to take it down onto the workbench where I can apply a bit more pressure. Because it's a harder wood than the soldering block. And just do the same again, but with more pressure. And there we go, it fits. So now we want the middle hole from these, which, guess what? It's also a really small hole that I haven't done anything to, so we're not even going to try that. We're just going to go straight for the pin. And these are going to go on the inside and there we go. So the first thing we're going to do with this is solder the wire to the outside bits along so that everything is trapped, and then we can worry about positioning and getting the actual hangers on properly once it's all not going to fall apart, because as we have already said, things not falling apart is good. Just looked up some iron farms. I'd rather just mine, to be honest. How do people have time to learn all this stuff? Are they 1.14 iron farms, Alex? Because they changed all the rules for 1.14. Ah, well, that one has got soldered to it the wrong way round. We didn't want that. Never mind. There we go. Off. Yes, made sure that they said that it's easier now, but looking at the ones in the pics, it's far from easy. I'm sure you'll find it is actually really easy. And so when all this goes on, that's going to want to sit straight up under there. Tell you what, Alex, I'd be surprised if it's any harder than building the brake rigging for a i3. I'm sure it's much easier than the brake rigging. We'll get on with it then. So there we go, and we've just used the solder that was already there. From soldering it together to hook those on. We need those snips again now to cut off the excess wire. And we want to do that down on the brakes as well. Now, if you cast your minds back to last week, you remember how frustrated I was at this brake rigging. This is the difference between looking up and doing your research and not looking up and doing your research. it is all built. I am happy with it. It is going to hang just like that. I need to adjust them. I think I've let them get too... Yeah, I've not straightened them out as I was soldering them, so they're actually too far apart at the back there. That was silly. See, we still make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Smash the like button for making mistakes. Or gently tap the like button. Especially after the other day when someone, for some unknown reason, everyone else of course can now do their research by watching this video. I prefer the gentle tap, much more civilised. It is indeed, James, it is indeed. But yes, my like button needs many gentle taps, especially after the other day when someone, for some unknown reason, went back in time quite far and started hitting dislike on my old videos. Must admit, it left me rather confused when I saw videos of that age getting any form of reaction. But of course the like to dislike ratio is important in the YouTube algorithms, so we must fight back by getting that like button. So there we go, we've just moved them closer in together. You can see how much closer there. It's obviously not very straight anymore, so I'll have to straighten that out, but yeah. You got there in the end, Alex. I knew what you meant. But yes, the first one that they disliked was the test running of my P-Class. And I was thought, why is someone going back and watching a video that old of test running a loco? And then feeling the need to hit the dislike button on it. Very odd indeed. There we go. Done. Snips. Done. So now they sit down between the frames like they should. Even though it's quite broken. Cough, cough. That is going back. Yes, it is. What's quite broken? A1. Right, there's still a bit too much brass wire sticking out there. I really wish I could stop hitting the boom on the front of this camera. Perhaps you'll go and like some of your older videos. I recall watching one from about a year ago recently, showing how you transformed Oak Hill. My Oak Hill video is a recent one. I don't think I can't remember what I've done in the past on Oak Hill. I've certainly done a recent one that showed the transformation on Oak Hill. Just ignore it. I like to think it's Vladimir Putin spitting on us. It could well be, Harry. It could well be. Okay, A1. See you soon. I'm going to hydrate quickly. But yes, whilst I'm quite happy to ignore the dislikes, it does affect my standing in the YouTube algorithm. So a better like to dislike ratio is always optimal. So if people do want to go back and watch some older videos and press the like button, that would be wonderful. So now we're just going to get some more brass wire. We're going to thread through generic sugar-free fizzy black drink. That's the stuff, A1. It is wise to be drinking in the vicinity of lead solder and flux. I mean, the drink is far enough away and hidden. The drink itself lives under the workbench, so it shouldn't actually get affected by it. I'm certainly breathing in a lot more of the lead solder and flux than I'll get through drinking. I think that hole is important. Well, yes, I'm probably not breathing any lead, you're quite right, but the flux fumes are absolutely horrible on their own. That's the noise I make when I'm looking for a tool, in case you're wondering. This is hard to get lined up. Oh, and now I've bent it. It's probably time to put the weld in HD. What noise do you make when you're looking for a packet of crisps? Pretty much the same noise, actually. Incidentally, is there a reason that you omit to mention the brand of your sugar-free generic black cola-nut flavoured fizzy drink? This is not, after all, the BBC. Whilst it's not the BBC, James, there are some very, very strict rules on advertising, and YouTube penalises people for even the possibility that they might be advertising when they're not supposed to. So, where possible, I like to avoid mentioning brand names. Obviously, at times it can't be helped, and at times I am mentioning it very obviously to help out my viewers. But if there's a if it's something that makes no odds to the stream, I'd rather not mention brand names, just because of how YouTube can be about that. There we go, we're through. Good evening, Christopher. Welcome to the stream. Good evening, Stephen. Currently listening with the sound off. Oh, fair enough. So what are the rules about not advertising that? Another good reason to use PeerTube, of course. The rules are actually based around legal restrictions on it. YouTube are just a bit overzealous because obviously with the size of YouTube, people come down on them quite strong, and so any advertising in the UK, anything at all, advertising wise, has to be declared. There's actually, when you're setting up your YouTube videos, there is an option in there to say, are you being paid by anyone for this stream? Is there any paid promotion? And you will see it on videos of people that are being paid, that it will come up at the top of the screen on the beginning of videos, includes paid promotion. Because the law does state that if you're paid, you have to declare it. YouTube can be a little too overzealous on looking at that and saying, we think you're being paid, so you should have pressed that button. And they make you fill out lots and lots of forms, and it's a right pain in the backside. I would just rather avoid it altogether. Of course, if the makers of said sugar-free generic black drink that comes with a red label on it would like to sponsor me, they are welcome to. You get copyright claims just about anything these days. YouTube made it super easy for big companies to claim videos. That's why I stream on Twitch. YouTube can whistle. YouTube have only made it as easy as they have to, though. I don't want to defend YouTube. I'm not a big fan of them as a company. But they do really do the bare minimum. Well, Alex the well, thank you, Mr. Host. How are you? I'm okay considering everything, Christopher. Where promotion, overzealous enforcement is interesting, points to the real, very serious censorship dangers of delegated authority. Yes, it does, James, indeed. But yeah, it is purely because of YouTube being overzealous on the enforcement of those rules that I choose not to mention the name of my generic sugar-free black fizzy liquid with a red label on it. I do not mind everyone knowing what it is, but just in case. I never noticed he'd said that. That's rather amusing. But yes, Alex, should Twitch ever get to the size of YouTube, which it wouldn't surprise me if it does one day, expect them to get just as bad on the overzealous copyright claims as YouTube currently are. Okay, we have things going on and looking like brake rodding. Generic sugar-free fizzy black drink with a red label, yes. So I don't mind people knowing what I drink, I just don't want to be caught by the overzealous YouTube algorithm bots that watch out for this sort of thing. YouTube are a bunch of words I can't say in this stream, but will happily say on mine. To stream all those who use sale in it. By the way, I have returned. Not back. Hello, not back. I'm Gary. I already do so, and again, this is why PeerTube is a good way forward. It's going to be a long time before they get to YouTube size. Plus, there's more competition with streaming sites. True, but again, James, with PeerTube, I did look into PeerTube. It's a very interesting system. I like the looks of it. Very decentralised, but again, should things become YouTube size, people will want to get these things in place, and it will happen. But I certainly do like the looks of PeerTube. I spent quite a while looking into it and how the system works and what everything does. There we go. All our brakes are in place. They are on their hangers as they should be. Before I solder anything, I'm going to test fit that the wheels do sit on there properly. Be much harder to sense PeerTube because of its decentralised. Yes, obviously it would for that reason, and that is, I do like systems like that for exactly that reason. There are nameless websites that I enjoy the use of occasionally that only exist because they are managing to be decentralised. Makes me happy that you looked into it. I'm glad it does, James. I looked into it the first time you mentioned it. It is a very nice looking system. If I had better internet, I'd probably stick a server up for it because I like supporting things like that. Even if the brake rigging is pointless. Shh, don't point that out now. So what we need to do is be able to move the brake out so I can get the wheel rim round it. But then it's there and it's looking good. Brakes. Of course, the easier way to solve that would be to fit the axles and then put the wheels onto them after. That is that way. We want this one to go this way. Right, those front ones seem okay, they're not touching the wheels. Plan to put any model railway village videos that I make only onto PeerTube. Well, please do let me know about them if you do, because I would like seeing them, James. Finished now listening as well as looking, but not for long. Bedtime beckons. Fair enough, Stephen. Now that you are listening, welcome. It is good to have you here. How are you today? So with streaming, it's hard to censor, as they would have to do it on the fly. They have to censor the music involved, but it's not why I'm making money. It would be very hard to censor or claim streams as they happen. That is very true, Alex. That is indeed very true. But I'm sure they have ways of punishing streamers too. I'll need to make more progress with my layouts before making videos, as well as getting a new computer. I know both those problems quite well, James. I know both those problems very well indeed. Ooh, that's on the wrong side there. There we go. There we go. So now we can stick some solder onto these so that the brakes will stay. Do one side at a time. Thanks. Having a fit of wagging and letting press fix mostly. Some good, some duff. All old. Anyway, happier subject, yes. Yes, I saw the pictures you put up of some wagon lettering on RM Web with your press fix. They were looking very good, Stephen. But yes, it's not a fun job, is it? Press fix wagon transfers. I saw you'd done the tear weights as well, and they were not quite accurate tear weights. I would rather hate to have done that to then have to change them. Right then, and with the snips, wherever I've left them now, there they are, under the pliers of course. We can take off the excess. As you can see, these snips aren't the best with how many tries it took to get that to cut through there. This is why I don't like using them for sprues. So we now have a chassis that is looking distinctly like a chassis. I'm going to solder these rods from the inside of the chassis so that we don't get any 20 hundredweights to the ton, 4/4 to the hundredweight. The shape of that D is still vexing me. See, the shape of that D I wouldn't have even noticed without you having said. I've been authorised to buy a new loco this month after Wednesday, just in case with the car. Woohoo! New loco. I think after the trials of this week, my modelling budget is going to be a bit slim this summer. It will mainly be the Patreon money buying us some more paints so that we can paint some things that are in need of it, including this loco. And I really don't want to have to pay for paints to be delivered, but I'm going to have no choice. Nick to the bell from a village, tell no one. I will say nothing, Alex. I will point out, however, that you have said it on the internet, so now literally everyone knows. If it would be a D51, of course, well, of course, I would expect nothing else from you, Christopher, than a D51. So the next job for this chassis will be the bag of detail bits that I'm not convinced I put back in the box earlier. Oh, I did. Excellent. So we've got sandboxes and the like to go on. These are all white metal. True, but luckily I don't think Minecraft villages have internet access. You never know though, Alex. They might do. Hydration is still quite important. As we enter hour the second. So yes, now we have to solder white metal onto brass. This should be fun. The idea here is that we tin the brass with regular solder and then use white metal solder to solder the white metal stuff onto that. Hello Max, welcome, how are you this evening? We'll be using 70-degree solder, James, but first we will tin the brass with the lead solder. So I think it is just the 6 sandboxes we want for now. So the rest of this pipe work, etc. can go back in there. That is all stuff that will be added to the body once we get to a more complete stage. Oh yes, we also have to add the brake gear to the bogie at some point, because it's an early loco. It would have had brake gear on the bogie still. Just got off watching Marty's Matchbox, no, who stored Matchbox Steam Loco, so it's find I want. I watched that video earlier as well, actually, Max. Yes, he did the Duke of Connaught, is it? It's a Great Western one, and he did a second one in red, and it looked very odd. Yes, I saw that video too. So we're going to sort these. Well, there we go. They're sorted into 2 sides. They sit a bit like that, and we're going to drill some holes into them before we do anything else, because then we can use some brass wire when we are done to put some sanding pipes in. And actually I might just poke the holes with the pin, because we know that's the right size, and white metal is nice and soft. Clean up the bottom of this one. Ooh. And that might have taken some pigs and a grindstone from them too. Fair enough. As Duke Connaught was located at Citria's train after the record run. Good evening, Killian. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you this evening? I'm going to put this in the vice while I do this. Let's bring the vice over. Well, gotta go. Might come back later. Don't know yet. Okay, A1, has been great having you here. Thank you for coming. Shall see you either later tonight or in Alex's stream through the week, I guess. Building today, so I'm very excited. I'm actually getting an 80s, 90s Clockwork Thomas train set freight version. We're going to be working on the electric since I'll be redoing it to battery. Excellent, Max. I had one of them when they were new. You've been lurking, Killian. Fair enough. Thomas set is mint. Excellent. There we go now with it in the vice. I can poke the hole and not have to worry about it flying away. But it will be run as it should. They were designed to be run. When I say I had one of them sets when I was younger, what I actually mean is I had 3 of them. Now, I tightened this up earlier so that I could put the camera in more obscure places without it dropping. You're rather a Raspberry Ripple Thomas set. I would actually. Raspberry Ripple is much nicer than Mint. You're quite right, James. Not sure what that is. Ice cream flavours, Max. Mint, raspberry fruit, ice cream flavour. Mint flavour. There we go. Clean up the edge with the knife. If you can't tell, I've got a new knife blade on here now rather than the knackered one that we were using for cutting the sprues. Indeed. Much to be said for a spot of jest on a Sunday evening. There is indeed, James. There is indeed. So I said, we're just making little holes in all of these that will allow us to insert a bit of brass rod to act as the sand pipe. Because it would be a bit silly to go to all the effort of having the brake rigging and not having sandpipes. Well, yes, poking rather than ginning. Cunning plan with a flash vice. Yes. The vice that its primary job is to hold my blue tack for me. But sometimes it does get used properly. Not a fan of cold mint, bad enough when brushing my teeth. I mean, yeah. The kids won't even use mint flavoured ice cream. Toothpaste. But, I believe one of them has eaten a mint ice cream recently though, actually. With my slip there. Cannot stand mint. So no one likes mint is what we're saying. That went well. I saw the direction it went in, but I can't see things that aren't right in front of me when wearing the glasses. And in fact, the direction it went in is the direction where there are currently many piles of things that are out the way of the leaky wall at the moment. There we go, found it. So Rita's ice cream would sound great right now. Rita's a brand of ultra creamy soft serve. That way I like spearmint polos. Pretty much mint mint don't bash. For ice cream, my go-to, if it isn't a 99, is chocolate. Oh, I don't get to choose my ice creams anymore. Mainly because I very rarely go to ice cream vans. We go to Tesco and the kids choose. Mint has its place. I used to grow mint back when I had my herb garden. So how is everyone doing at the minute? Have we got any projects on for those who I haven't already asked that question to? I am going to pour myself another cup of the sugar-free black fizzy stuff. I approve of herb gardens. I had a feeling you would, James. 99 for years till Shuttleworth. David bought me one, but yeah. I think they are far too dear now. They are indeed. Only slightly joking. The only type of mint I can stand is proper garden grown mint. Well, I used to have that. Good. Couldn't be better. Good, Max. Very good. Yeah, I used to have proper garden grown mint, Alex, back when I used to have the time to grow things. So, let's get these all the right way round and work out where it is on here that they go. My drawing is this way round, so let's put this way round. This one goes here. This one goes here. And this one goes here. So soldering white metal to brass is a trick of its own. Would love to be working on something, but painting's done for today. My Japanese layout is in storage till later this month. Well, I mean, you can come and paint my hallway. I'm going to need to get that finished now before the builders are in to start work on the living room and repairing this wall. So you're welcome to come and paint my house if you want. So yes, we're going to put a dab of flux where we want each bit to go. Surely it's easy with 100 degree. We will be using the lower melt solder. But using the leaded stuff just to tin up the brass gives us better adhesion when we're doing it. I think I'm done for today. Can't stand farming anymore. Do some more tomorrow, but my crime spree will do for now. Fair enough, Alex. How close are we to painting? So excited for that. I need to buy some paint first, Max, but we're not far away. Good evening, Mr. Sam. It is Wonderful to see you here. It has been a while. Do you have sound? Let me know. Obviously, you can't answer that question if you don't. If you do answer, I'll know that you do. There, this moment, I would do it, mate. Well, you've got a car. That's all I'm going to say to that. So we're just dabbing a bit of solder on. And we're going to spread that out just to tin the area we need to stick the white metal to. Yes, I have sound. Well, hey! Good evening, Will. Welcome. How are you doing this evening? It is good to see you. Our house isn't finished, and by the time I got to you, I could do the next layers here. If you thought of making a Discord, I'll tell you that on Twitter. I have not. Is that something people would want? I don't consider myself a big enough channel to need one yet, to be honest, Will. If we had a valid reason for a Discord, I'd certainly look into it. Obviously, for the time being, I do have a website. Oh no, this isn't going to go properly. I'm going to have to clean them up a bit, just because they're old. That was hot. I forgot to turn the soldering iron down as well. I should do that. Could have caused some real damage there. Such as to my fingers. I still have. I will hopefully get my PC back. Finally, hopefully next week after I've lost track of time. Fair enough. Right. Bit of a polish. I should do it properly if I'm teaching people how to do it, shouldn't I? So we're just polishing up the back, making sure it's really nice and clean. I'm going to strip off this bit that I've done with the file and not drop it. He says, dropping it. Oh no, I've really dropped it this time. Oh, I thought it landed on me there. It hasn't, it's gone somewhere. That's not helpful because I didn't hear it hit the floor. And it's not on me and it's not on the chair. I do actually have some spare white metal I could chop up into a new one if need be. Good news, I found it. So just give that a few scrapes with the file to remove that bit of solder. And there we go, that's now nice and shiny too. And back we come. Okay, so white metal soldering. White metal to brass soldering. Take 2. Where have I put? There they are. That went well. I'm not very good at holding things with tweezers, in case you couldn't tell. Let's put some flux on the other two. Dropping small things, the bane of every modeler. Indeed it is. And in fact, as well as doing that, we're going to use a longer bit of solder. So we're getting nice coverage on the back there. And that's the difference that flux makes. I don't count as pre-grouping modeler anymore, do I? Given I only have layout set post 34 of today. I guess not, Mr. Sem. That's not very nice of you to abandon pre-grouping, which is clearly the best era. You know, I'm pretty sure they ripped up all the railways in 1923 and we haven't had any since. At least there's no carpet for the carpet monster to live in. No, now, model SM. Can he not be an honorary pre-grouping modeler? He's an ex-pre-grouping modeler, James. Sunday dear chap, no social media. Shut up in advance, Harry. Don't know what you're on about, Alex. Don't know what I could possibly have been going to say there. So now the trick is to mate the two and having the solder on here gives us better adhesion. Just like that. White 34 did have many pre-grouping locos though. Yes, it did. It's the issue. Does this mean that I have to be ceremoniously kicked out of the RM web pre-grouping section? Pre-grouping. I just think I thought I'd delete my threads in wake is optional. Basically, the issue is that Blackstone West is now to be electrified. No, you do not have to be kicked out of the pre-grouping section, I don't think. I see no reason why non-pre-grouping modelers can't appear there. But the important thing to remember is I'm not in charge of the section. I nearly was once, but I'm not. You would not believe me if I told you where that landed. Now it's landed in my spares box. Electric toasters. Pre-group electrical. Until SR electric, especially LB&SCR ones. LB&SCR pre-27 layout is on the cards eventually. That would be good. There you are then. LB&SCR. Pre-grouper in limbo. I knew you meant LB&SCR overhead, and I would love to see a Brighton overhead layout. That would be excellent. So let's try this again. There we go. And stuck. So I didn't hear what you said, my phone died. Oh no, I can't remember what I said. I said something about liking LB&SCR overhead. It's taken me this long to realise who our moderator here actually is. Which moderator, Sem? We have two. I used to live along the route of the LB&SCR overhead system a few years ago. Very nice. Tis me, my child. Strange early electric shunts that the LSWR and SR had. Very intriguing. Alright. The one what used to be known under a different channel name. Twice I've been referred to as Christ if he meant me. Okay, it must be true. No comment, Christopher. This is an odd shape to hold with the tweezers. That is the problem now. I'm just going to snip this off. Now remember, when doing stuff like this, put your soldering iron down. Then you won't burn yourself. That worked well. On the internet, it must be true. There's a law of the internet. Well, I'm not sure the laws of the internet apply in real life, though. That's the problem. And there we go. 3 sandboxes. White metal soldered to brass. On the whole, there is much to be said for not burning oneself. There is indeed. If a loco or unit has a proper whistle, not a horn, then it's interesting. If not, meh. I agree, Mr. Sem. Those units on the Isle of Wight are very interesting with their proper whistles. Hydration time, ladies and gentlemen. So, for those that have missed it, because they've not been here, so people say Mr. Petsy previously developed British stuff for similar trains. So RM Web have a place for continental and American modellers for early railways. It used to. I don't know if it does since the new site went up. So yes, for those that have missed many streams, can't think who I could be referring to there. What we are working on here is a nice Brighton i3. I couldn't have got that sandbox any better if I tried, could I? It's a nice Brighton i3 on its chassis. Everything has been soldered. And it is going to be powered by the greatest motor ever invented, the Triang X04. So Darcy in the OC said, I've seen a group chat message on Instagram of Master's Restoration had to be done since it was Model Railway group chat. The only thing disappointing about it is Kevin didn't make it an appearance on the Steam Loco restoration. Looking good, do what me, Gov. How many wheels and a motor? I remember being on RM Web on Model Railroad now. What? Yeah, couldn't possibly be referring to you, could I, Mr. Sem? No, not at all. It is good to have you back with us, though. All joking aside. Don't put your fingers in the flux, it's not nice stuff. So again, as before, we have fluxed the brass. We're going to turn the soldering iron up because it won't melt this solder at that heat. We don't need it quite that high, that would be silly. Good dude. Thanks, Alex. There's no need to say nice, bright and eye-free. The brighter part immediately says it is more than nice. What well said, Sam. Good to see you still have your Brighton loyalties in there somewhere. Probably best mates are always high. Never been happy since leaving. I've never quite worked out why RM Web in particular is such a troubled place. I was managed pretty well. I was always doing. RM Web is a troubled place because of its size. But as Sem says, if you stay in the pre-grouping section, everyone's really nice. I'm not going to say I haven't had issues with people in that section in the past. One I've had issues with, so don't ask. So there we go. Tinned up, ready to accept the white metal parts. We are now going to turn the iron back down before we forget again. All the way as low as it can go. Oh dear, chat is higher than I can see. Wait, so you put a 56-year-old motor in a model kit? Sweet. Yes, Max, I am. And even then I tolerate any pedantry, as usually I'm in the position of being the pedant. Yes, you are, Sam, quite often. A lot of very opinion with huge superior complexes on there are indeed. My career on RM Web is as good as finished anyway. Oh? What's happened there then, Killian? Please do tell, or message me on Twitter if you don't want to share here. 50 to 60 euro. You had 3 on RM. I've had issues with other model railway forums. No, I've certainly found other model railway forums to be more welcoming than RM Web. Like people pedantic. Stays tactically quiet. Fine out. No, like here. Quitting most social media as of this week. Oh, how come? I guess you won't be messaging me on Twitter to tell me why if you're quitting social media. Pre-groups are generally quite pedantic, but as I say, so am I. Yes, you are. Like RM Web is all for place. Pre-grouping, narrow gauge sections were always fine, but that was about it. Most of it's sad killing, can't blame you. No, why would people be rude about model trains? The only I have to same here. It's only a hobby. I have to agree, Killian. We don't want you going away. We want more Killian, not less Killian. Thing is, I've never had any problems with RM Web, but then perhaps I just keep my head down. Perhaps you do. I mean, I like to think I keep my head down, but I have had problems. So, are we going to have to set up a Killian's Online Presence Preservation Society? Because we don't want to lose Killian. I mean, perhaps I hide more. I mean, I'm not overly public on RM Web outside the pre-grouping section, though. Sam, you should make me feel guilty for not replying to Killian's last message to me. Trying to build a layout. Yes, you are, Christopher. Twitter is fine. Just limit who you follow. Needs to say thank you for Vulcan. Thought I'd replied, but today realised I hadn't. Please don't mention it. So thinking, yes, we do. Royal Society for keeping Killian. Oh, I like that name. We should go with that name for it. And get it actual royal assent as well whilst we're at it. I'm sure we can manage that. Very welcome for the Vulcan. So, oh, we need more talented people like you, Killian, not less. Right. Drop some solder onto the back of these. This is, of course, the low melt 70-degree white metal solder. Again. Love you guys some days, you know. Well, we love you too, Killian. We would hate to see you go. Well, we really would. You know, you're awesome, Killian. You've earned the love and the respect, and all these people saying how much they don't want you to go anywhere. You've earned all that by being awesome. No, that one goes there, that one goes there, and that one goes in the middle. Because, of course, we do still have a loco to build. Anyone can be untalented splodge like me, but to see some of those CADs you've done, I can only dream of managing that. Well, I said I approve of awesome people. Sam, you are not untalented. Your CAD work is still far superior to anything I could manage. So I'll have none of that untalented splodge like you stuff. So we just heat the back to melt the solder a bit and drop it on. I'm going to do all three of these this way, and then this is purely so they can be holding themselves in position whilst I get them to attach properly. Oh, this is way out of place. Might take that one off and drop it back on, actually. That is better than Royal Ascent. James Spencer. Okay, slightly talented. Painstaking work on the brake gear there. Off to bed now. Parting shot. Never take offence on what folks say online. It's not worth it. Exactly, Stephen. Well said. It has been good to have you here. Have a good night's sleep. Thank you for the compliments. You are once again another one of those very talented modelers, so you also keep it up. Jim can't think of any modelers on the same rank as Killian. We must copy and paste before it's too late. Killian is an amazing modeler. And Killian knows Killian is an amazing modeler. But I'm sort of off now, but thank you. Today has been hard. I'll probably be back next week. Please do, Killian. It is great having you here. You know, you're a great guy. Whatever's happened, you know, it's in the past. If you need someone to talk to, drop me a message. I have been known to help people out with these things in the past. So I hope to see you next week and maybe even hear from you before that. You know, we're here for you, Killian. So, good night, sleep well, chat if you need it. Why do people have to be so rude about, of all things, model trains? It's an enjoyable hobby that people should not be crazy about. Because people be crazy. This one is too far forward, so I need to push this back. But it doesn't want to come off, it's not heating up enough. Tis indeed one of life's great mysteries, Christopher. May happy things happen in Killian land soon. Agreed, James. Good night, Killian. Hope you feel better. Here to chat if we can. Yes, we are still learning free design. Don't have a whole lot of time online anymore to practice. My computer lacking, it's difficult, except for the family's Windows 7 computer, which is ancient. Yeah, fair enough. Right. Good night, Killian, if you haven't left yet. So I've just had a message on Twitter from someone to say to me, let me guess, you forgot to do the 100 subscriber draw. Yeah, I did. Things have been too hectic in Oak Hill Towers this week for me to remember that. So for those who are entered into the 100 subscriber draw, I will be doing it at some point through the week. It will be filmed. There will be a video going up. There we go. I can see the solder melting on that now. So yes, the 100 subscriber draw will still be happening. Things have been a bit busy over here in Oak Hill Towers. Okay, right. Some people see they're tearing other people's achievements and ideas to shreds in public as constructive criticism. Well, yes, that's a good point. Some do. Gosh, ancient Windows 7 computer too. As opposed to criticism, which is actually constructive, it's also online. There was a discussion about that on the Jennifer Kirk channel recently. About what I watch out sometimes. Trains unjustified harsh criticism. I quite often think, well, someone's posting online, taking the show isn't great up to show standard, but I don't get nasty about it and tell everyone how bad I think it is. Well, no, there's no need to, is there? So I certainly know a lot of my stuff I have shown online has not been up to what I would now call an acceptable standard. But I've never been called out on it, and that is quite an important thing for me. I would have stopped posting long ago had I have been. People complimented it and gave constructive feedback on what I could improve and how. So, The sandboxes are on. The brake gear is on. We are actually at a point where the chassis is pretty much done. Obviously we need to add the sandpipe still. But other than that, there is not a lot to do other than painting it. Just gave you a like, okay? Thank you very much, Max. All the likes are very much appreciated, as are subscribes, comments on videos, follows on Twitter and Instagram. Some people on RM Web feel the need to go back through your past history and tell you because you haven't posted any actual modelling, your opinion isn't valid, but hey ho. Yeah. Yes. All learning, certainly my work's pretty low standard, especially my line and painting layers. Chassis looking great, dude. Thank you, Alex. Your painting of lining is better than mine, Sam. Hydration as we approach the end of the second hour. So yes, other than sanding gear, the main bulk of the chassis is now done. I mean, we've got the where are they? There's the etches. They've got locked together. That's helpful of them, isn't it? There we go, 3. We've got steps to add to the body. We've got guard irons to add to the body. They will both be done. No, we don't have steps to add to the body because we use the white metal ones. We've got guard irons to add to the body. That will be done after the body is capable of sitting on the chassis. We've got side rods to fold up, but that really is just folding them and tacking them with solder. We have small details that are getting done at a later day. Again, once they're less likely to get broken. So I guess what we need to do now is add some brake gear to the bogie. Because we are kind of at that point where what we can do tonight on this, it will be coming to the motor. Cool, look at all those comments. Me and another friend had a convo about exhibition stands earlier this year. Conclusion there isn't really one these days, which is not a bad thing as it shows all abilities. Snap as he swigs from his drink. Good man, Alex. Exhibition standards depend on the exhibition, Christopher. For example, a lot of my modelling could get into shows if I were to submit it. However, it could not get into... There is a few shows that it could not get into because it is not at a standard of that specific show. Cough, Uckfield, cough. October, cough. Third weekend, 20th and 21st, I think. Cough, cough. Terrible cough I've got here. Not promoting my show or anything. Exactly, she see all sorts of exhibition, that is great. Yes, it is great. Last attempt, LSW 42 foot rate came out reasonably, but will redone at some stage. That is the carriage I was talking about. Actually, Sam, I saw the pictures you put up of that, and it looked, much better than anything I could manage. So, you're a fan of Superman, awesome. It was actually a mug bought for me by the kids for Father's Day, because I'm a superhero dad, apparently. Then smash that like button, folks. Yes, everyone smash the like button. Depends on the show. Yeah, exactly. That was after Wally and some more local shows. So some shows I expect to see higher standard modelling at. They're usually scale, interest, whatever specific shows. For example, the Engage show, I expect to see high standard modelling there. I'm rarely disappointed. Went to an exhibition SVR in House, the layouts range from top notch, fairly amateur. It's great to see. All exhibitions have to be a good range. I like it that way. Don't get some rechargeable batteries using such and Thomas electrics turning the iPad to watch the last hour. Excellent. Oh dear, sorry about your cough. Terrible that I'm on MHR that weekend for the Autumn Gala, isn't it? It is terrible, Sam. You should be there. It shows you different achievable things, yeah, but... So, yes. My aim is to build to a standard that can get into Uckfield because, you know, it is my club show. I want to be there. At the moment, it is not a standard I feel I am at. There are certainly other shows I could get into which don't have the same standards. Because you're quite right, there is no such thing as an exhibition standard. There's achievable and there's normal members of the public commenting on how much better another layout is. Call me out as a snob, do. I mean, this raises a very interesting point from Sem here about these things, because of course, when I do take my layout to shows, which will be Hailsham, another video for that coming in the near future. Things have been delayed by this week at home for that though. I want my layout to be the best in show. And I will be working to get it to that standard of best in show. And if there are members of the public going around telling me how much better other layouts are, it will genuinely upset me. No, don't take it. No, don't take your opinion back, Alex. Opinions are opinions are opinions. They're all allowed, and they are all equally valid. And in fact, I've met Sem in real life. He is a snob, so it's fine. I'd like to think the Japanese layout could end up an Engage show. Don't apologise, don't take it back. Be brilliant to see your work at Uckfield. Shame it won't be this year, hopefully in the very near future. By the way, I'm back. Hi back, I'm Gary. I'm happy to be called out. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I expect it would be. I don't want to prove anyone wrong. I don't want to start trouble. I've got even worse over this year. Oh dear, Sam. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. You're not starting trouble, Alex. You're having an opinion and you're allowed that. I'm taking these wheels back. I put the wheels on to try and see where to mount this brake gear, but I'm taking it back off because these here are sticking out way too far and catching on the wheels. But they're too close in to get with the snips, so we're just going to attack them with the file. There we go. Much better. Because of course the wheels not being able to turn would be quite an issue. And I seem to get told my opinion is wrong rather a lot of these. No one said your opinion was wrong. Always pick M&S where possible. Oh dear, Sam. That's just terrible. No, Alex, no. In fact, I thought another layout was shown at the same time. The idea being that it should be good demonstration of small room layouts with two ideas. That would be quite cool. Mr. Lancaster Shaw and Christopher, I would like to see that. Alex, mate, you are fine. Relax, my friend. It is terrible. What is? You, Sam? Yes, I know. But yeah, I don't see why you would want to go to M&S. There really is no other excuse other than snobbiness, Sam. Didn't mean to cause this. Sorry, Alex. See, Alex, he's just a snob. He's just a random snob. Don't listen to him. Now we enter the final hour. And remember, Alex, if Sem upsets you, you have moderation powers. I allow my moderators to use their own discretion. I know there isn't any excuse, and yes, I'm such a snob. You are clearly, Sam, and a pedant. Anyways, I'm just popping in. Yes, you do. Well, okay. It has been good to have you here again, A1. Thank you for popping in. Please do keep popping in. Still stand by my opinion, but that's not to say yours isn't acceptable or valid. Yeah, all opinions are valid. Well then. Ah, there it is. I keep nearly losing these. Where's my pin gone? I've put the flux away, so it can't be sat in the flux lid. I'm used to holding unpopular opinions that are supposedly invalid. That's getting me dangerously close to ranting about non-railway topics, so I shall stop now. Yeah, genuinely can't find my pin. I'm going to turn the soldering iron off for now. I need my pin if I'm going to put the brake gear on the bogie. Yes, that probably is a good idea, Sam. Very good idea. So my plan for putting the brake gear on is, now that we've got the wheels on to help us with positioning. And I will solder a bit of brass wire across the top there and hook the brake gear on either side. Try looking in your pin cushion. Well, I don't have a pin cushion. It normally lives in this hole on my anvil, but it's not there right now. Sometimes it lives wrapped up in my duster if I've been cleaning flux off it. And there it is, in the duster, because I'd been cleaning flux off of it. So, pin cushions are better than anvils for storing pins, I believe. I've heard that. I've yet to try it out. So as per the other gear, we are going to poke a hole with the pin, because we know that that is wide enough for the brass wire to get through. Further to snobbery, is it bad form to wear ties at model railway shows? Not at all, Sam. Not at all. It might be bad form to wear that Met uniform that you were looking at earlier, though, over on the Castle Aiken thread. Don't wear that to a model railway show. So right then, I noticed I was the only exhibitor wearing one today. Worried me slightly. No, see, Tim, that's not because it's unacceptable, it's because you're a snob. Of course, I don't actually mean that, I just want to point that out. That was a joke, don't take me seriously. It is good to jest on a Sunday night. I always wear ties at model railway shows. See, Sem, you're not the only one. I never wear ties because I don't like them. That's personal preference. I wish smarter attire was more socially acceptable. Discussed World War One Metropolitan far too much this evening. Yes. Had a couple of comments about it with the good lady earlier as well, Sam. Said I wear it constantly these days. Not purely out of snobbery, honestly. Just do. I blame the mid-hants around. No, you can't blame the mid-hants, Sam, because you wore it constantly before the mid-hants. So, don't give me that. You haven't seen me since. No, it's been... As of this gone weekend, it has been a year since I've seen you, Sam. That one fits. I agree with Sam about smart clothing, yeah. And there is nothing wrong with liking smart clothing. I'm sure I poked holes in all four of them. That doesn't appear to have one, though. There is two. Quite, anyway. This one also appears to have no hole in it. I'm sure I did all four. Am I insane? Yes. Don't see what that has to do with it. And yes, I did answer myself on purpose there, guys, to make me look more insane. That goes through now, as it should, because that hole's way, way, way too big. May cause problems with actually fitting it sort of big. Worried what has been said behind my back now. I wish I'd never mentioned the Metropolitan. There is no need to worry about anything that has been said. Mr. Sam. Okay, new plan. Me and Don will be working this Monday. Me and Don will be working this Monday with me from 3 till 6. It's a mad world. Only the mad are sane. That's okay then. Because I am definitely not what most people would call sane. After all, I'm a railway modeller. Get the flux back out now. Oh, I do like the Metro, so do I. Wait, answering and debating with yourself makes you insane. Supposedly, you know, sort of talking to yourself doesn't make you insane. It's when you start to reply you've got a problem. Is what I've been told. Of course, none of that's actually true and doesn't put you anywhere on any form of insanity scale, but why let facts get in the way of things? Be amazed how much discussion was generated by a photograph of a female Metropolitan Guard in World War One. Very nice uniform she had too, very smart. Very military style uniform. Do blame the MHR for my own ties on a more than ever regular basis today. That wasn't a thing until I started wearing the uniform too from duty and thinking I actually like this. No comments then. No comment. This is a PG channel. Brakes look fiddly. Makes me glad I'm modelling before they were common on locos. Brakes are fiddly. Brakes are very fiddly. Don't know if you heard that, but I just headbutted the microphone. Well said, Alex. Oh, God. That's a lot of fumes I just breathed in there. Twitter updates will follow. Excellent. I will look forward to them, Max. Let me clarify. SR94 is not met well for my new film. Already been to a quarter of an hour. Stop people coming up to me and asking questions. Yes. Yes, I saw that comment. And it's true. It probably would. Oh, let's not go. Let's make sure we take that lid off again. You see, my tip cleaner, because it's got a resin bottom, has a lid on it to stop the resin going bad. I forgot that the other day. So there's a big hole in the lid of my tip cleaning pot. It's very silly of me, that was. Please be careful about fumes, dude. I aim to be careful. Away or when they will in operation. Not putting test mid hands. Please be careful about the fumes. I'm careful about the fumes. Ish. I need my glasses back. Oh. Oh good, despite checking they all fit on there, this one doesn't fit on there. There we go. So this is going to be fun. So fun. I don't know why the Brighton put brakes on the bogies. I'm not aware of other companies doing it. It really can't have added much in the way of stopping power. I'll say it again, Alex. Mentioning SWR, it still astounds me how many people think I'm the proper member of staff rather than the person 3 feet away in SWR high vis. Makes me very, especially as lead. Didn't read that properly. The solder does have lead, but the fumes are from the flux. I don't know what's in the flux. They're still not... I'd rather not know, to be honest. So the trick here is to make sure that your brakes aren't actually touching your wheels, which in this case they're not. The focus, so we have brakes, they are quite close to the wheels but not touching them, which is exactly what we want. Right, that's that one. That's that one. This is the one that's going to be a problem because I've made the hole too big and it's more of a slit than a hole now. Better, yeah, but I mean the bogies can't have added much braking power compared to, you know, having them on the drivers. So anyway, very nice. One thing I've yet to manage properly, building a working chassis. Need to get my wheels O2 finished. So your progress for 9 fiddly bits. Really miss my computer. I clicked so many other videos by accident on my iPhone. Well, if it's a wheels O2 SEM, doesn't it have one of the either use a ready to run chassis or have a block of white metal chassis? Because if so, they're quite easy chassis to do, especially when compared to these etched ones. They don't have the same level of detail, but you'll have no problem getting it done. Oh no, I didn't mean for that to come off. There we go. Wheels on the brakes on the bogie. Old cast chassis, quite simple. Slot some Romfords in, a gear, an XO4, and it'll be done, hopefully. That is generally how those chassis work, yes. And they are usually very well casted, and you don't have any issues with them running straight. They're very, very good chassis. Very good for people who have never built a chassis before. There we go, bogie brakes. Of course, I've done one of these before with the old cast chassis. Maybe it was that the bogies could be reused as very small wagons, especially black starfish traffic. So it would justify a fully sized wagon. That's definitely a very small wagon. Lone Star F unit, UP delivery one, intended to repaint Amtrak Phase F7, needs a new motor and new wheel set. stuff I'm having trouble finding. I'm sure you will be able to find stuff, of course. It's I wish I could help you, but being over in the States, I don't know anyone that does stuff there. Right. Well, Mr. Sem talks of XO4s. And I'm going to say, guys, I've got little else to do. Very small fish. Brilliant. It's the power unit for this. It's now the right way round. As I say, I've not run this motor. I have no idea how well it runs. Let's stick some power in my controller. For all I know, this isn't going to run at all. It runs. Well, hey, let's get some blue tack and stick it down and see how well it runs. That's a start. Being an XO4, probably quite well. This hasn't run for at least 4 years. Oh, wow. I don't want to run this too long. What I want you to do, everyone, there's me pointer, is to have a look in this gap here. As it lights up. I had to find my Lone Star set in America on eBay. I had to go outside. Some kids asking why they loitering in my car and why the alarm went off. No damage, fortunately. Yeah, it's not showing up as well on camera as it is in real life, but that is just... There's a solid glow in there. It's quite impressive. You need a resistor for that. No, I don't. Don't need a resistor for that at all. Well, I had XO4s, haven't run for an estimated 45 years and only needed a clean. So that's what yours needs properly. Is it oil on the commutator? Nice night light. I would imagine it's just a very dirty commutator. So we're going to take it apart, we're going to stick a new motor in it, we're going to give it a clean, why not? Going to start by taking the spring off. And I mean, that even that spring is absolutely filthy. Oh god, look at focus. Yeah, that's brass. That should be shiny, not black. So I think that tells us what the state of the motor is going to be like. But they do have a decent amount of carbon on them still, so I'm not going to replace the brushes just yet. But look at the state of it. Yeah, so focus. That commutator is filthy. I'd say from my nicely done up one, the commutator should be a nice shiny bit of copper. So you can see this one's been run a bit, so it's not completely clean, but yes. I was given about 20 trying locos that would have been skipped about 6 years ago, so I'm very familiar with this. Never chuck Triang locos, especially not the motors. Hello Sparky, good to see you, thank you for popping in. How are you? Most of the locos broken up and motors put in a box, fair enough. Just packing for the trip to the UK, be there Tuesday. Ah, excellent, yes. Christopher has mentioned the trip to the UK. I had forgotten about that. So, for those that don't know, cotton buds are your friend, as is the isopropyl alcohol. We've not seen that on the channel for a while. Okay, so good, busy day. Excellent, glad you're doing good. Yes, I can see you're not having much luck with your phone today, Max. Obviously, you keep deleting messages. So, I've just got some IPA on there. It's already black. Look at the state that's coming off in. I think I'm going to do the other end of that. Oof, not an easy DCC project though. Yeah, they are. They DCC beautifully, Sam. Only shopping for one thing when I'm there. Class 37, DCC and sound. Oh no, not lag. Not lag. Just saying the state of this. I'm going to give it a clean both ends of this. It's still absolutely filthy. It's very possible this motor has never been cleaned. But this will be DCC. There's nothing wrong with DCC in these. Sam, they're great motors on DCC. So you can see the state that that is in just from cleaning that commutator. Fun. I thought they were mildly difficult. No, not at all. They are very, very easy. I'm going to polish these up with a carbon brush. And look at the difference of the bit I've cleaned to the bit I haven't. Certainly there are far easier things to chip, I would have thought. The only thing easier to chip than an X04 is something with a socket already in it. It's amazing what a couple of seconds under a carbon fibre brush can do, isn't it? Depends on your skill level, what you call easy. But, well, yes, that's true. But as far as DCC projects go, Triang locos are pretty easy. Right, so I've just cleaned that off on the inside with a bit of IPA. And I'm going to get the carbon fibre brush on them as well. I think the older ones have a lot of spare space, which reminds me of the fun to come chip my D3 when I finish my D3. Yeah, no, there's lots of space in a Triang loco. The motors are very simple. even keeping the live chassis can be done on DCC. I'm going to take the insulating arm off of these. I always replace them. And I replace them with a bit of insulation from a wire because it holds better. So I will get my wire strippers and a bit of wire. And I will then insulate both sides of this as well. So then the motor's pickups become the top contacts on the brushes. Oh, when I get my D3 out of the box, it came from Golden Arrow, yes. Oh, well, I'm wrong then, I'll get a few mind done. Be interested to see how you get on with that. I'm thinking of making that casting pretty good. I'll post up on my thread, please do. Hang on. Have one. The casting is reasonable, and it will of course be a stream build for the future. Pretending to be a cab interior and a small bag of detail parts. Oh, and I've got some sprung buffers in here as well, apparently, that I've put with it. He bought one too. I got it a while ago. Not sure whether to finish it with a B number or a 2 number. 1931 was the renumbering, so I just about managed to get away with B number in 34. So I look forward to that. I've certainly seen worse. Just out of curiosity, is your Funland also an oval? They look quite round to me, Harry. My cab interior bent in the sun. You've got one of the rarer ones, which includes the castings. I got them when they were brand new, Sam. Got it off him personally when they were still brand new. So before I put that back together, the only real big change I'm going to make to this is to take this magnet out, and let's make a point that I'm really having to push that motor in to get that magnet in to get that in. It's nice and easy. This this magnet will put itself in. Mine's an early one, although I didn't buy it off him. He was present when I bought it. And takes a lot of force to get it back out. But again, puts itself in place. No, not on this one. GA kit always ends up being an oval. I've got to agree with Sem on this one, Harry. My circular parts are most definitely circles. But that's come in with so much force It's actually cracked a bit off the magnet. That's how strong they are. Pliers. I've lost the pliers again. No, not the plot. I lost that a long time ago. There they are. The problem now is that magnet is so powerful that everything is just sticking to it. No, not on this one. Why change the magnet? These ones are magnetised steel, and this is 50-year-old magnetised steel, so it's not particularly strong. This is a neodymium rare earth magnet, so it's significantly stronger than the ones it comes with, and it won't ever lose its magnetism, unlike the steel one. That's not steel, but you know, you look at that, there's just picks them up from that distance. The steel one has to get right down on them before it picks them up. Circular bits, eh? And now it's stuck to these. So yes, magnet so powerful that it makes reassembly of the motor difficult. And I do believe that that is all this motor is going to need. So we put it back together. We'll get the oil down. Got a pad here to put a couple of drops into. I always put a couple of drops top and bottom. And it's got a pad back here to put some into. And that is that. So now I've barely got any power on here. Let's see how well it can run. No sparks. So there's barely any power. Let's turn that down even more. Struggling there. We're probably only at about 1 volt here, so I would expect it to struggle, but I bet if I can get it started, then it'll go. That's not bad at all. So there we go. There's no smell coming off of it like there really was a smell before. There appears to be some hairs and stuff on it. I'm assuming the noise it's making is because it's sat on the glass and vibrating down through it. But that really is all it takes. A strip down, a clean, a new magnet. if you can get your hands on one of the 5-pole armatures, then they are a great improvement to these. Oh, it's lost that distinctive ill-maintained XO4 smell. It has lost that smell. It's amazing how every XO4 can smell the same, isn't it, Sam? That they all do. In fact, my loft used to distinctly smell of that all the time when I was a kid. But no, no more. It has lost that smell. So yes, that is how easy it is to bring one of these motors back to life. As I say, if you can get the 5-pole armature, they're worth getting your hands on. But now, what we've done here, where we have isolated both sides here, in the triangle locos originally, power comes in through one side and comes out and down the spring and through the body of the motor into the chassis and out that way. So now we have bypassed that. I like that smell. Actually, so do I. It is a good smell. I don't know why. It just is. So, if you are DCCing a triangle loco, you isolate it like this. Have your pickup that comes into this side going onto your DCC chip. And then, obviously your output going onto the motor. You then take your output off the motor on this side and you can loop it back round onto where this screw here goes into the chassis. And then all you have to do is put a sleeve over the chip and you won't get any shorting out, and you have a DCC triangle loco. It really is that easy. How would one describe that smell besides poorly XO4? I don't know, Sam. I don't think I've ever smelt that smell from anything else than a poorly XO4. It is a wonderful smell, and more people should be able to smell that smell. Pickups, crank pins, wheels, cab roof. Are you going to be insulating the motor today? Well, I've been wanting to learn how to do that for a long time. It's the smell of train sets. Yes, it is. That is insulated. They're both sides insulated there just by having the bit of insulation that I've stolen off a bit of electrical wire over them. This is obviously the original triangle cog for the motor that came out the same loco. Now the hole in these is slightly too big for the Romford axles. However, it does accept a brass bearing. That there is just a regular brass wheel bearing as per these, that I put a bit too much solder on, so I spread it out over the whole cog. So that's just soldered in place, and that brings the size down to what's needed, and then I can stick it to the axle. It's not even that, James. It's very specific. Trying XO4 powered locos, maybe XO3 ones too. Okay, yeah, and XO 3.5s. Because they were all things. They were all the same thing, essentially. The only difference between an XO3, a 3.5 and a 4 was lubrication pads. But let's not let things like that get in the way of renaming things for no reason. Now here's an experiment. Can anyone tell an XO3 from an XO4 based off the smell? I doubt it. As I say, the only difference between the motors is their lubrication pads. The XO4 has them, the XO3 doesn't. Don't know why I've taken that off yet. That should still be on really until I poke it through. And in fact, I shouldn't really be poking it through like this. We discussed this earlier. I expect an XO4 smells mildly more oily. You could well be right there, it would make sense. I've got it caught on the bearing. That's because it doesn't have the head on it. But of course, the thing is, you did still oil an XO3, it just didn't have a pad to sit in, it just sat directly on the bearings. So it's a very tricky question. So this here is definitely a job we'd... Oh, look. This is why we trial fit things like this. We've got that sandbox too far forward still. Let's check the other one, because the other one's definitely further back. This is why we do these trial fittings all the time. Yep, see that one, the first one we did, is in the right place. Best get that soldering iron switch back on. That is the nut. It has escaped halfway across the room, but I can see it. Was there an XO1? XO01, I wonder. XO1, isn't that the original? I don't know what classification the RAF actually used for them. It could be a case of that the XO1 is the original. In fact, no, that wouldn't make it. The XO1 couldn't be the original RAF version because Rovex did buy its initial batch off the RAF as war surplus. So if they were XO1s, then the initial Rovex motors would be XO1s. I assume that it could be a military name and that the motors were developed over time. That would make sense. Oh, that was simple. It's almost like it knew we needed it to come off. Indeed, I was only half joking. Yeah, I assumed you were completely joking, actually, Sam. But you make a good point. It could have been the original classification for the first version of them. Sorry for being stupid. What about the RAF? I should. These motors were originally used by the RAF to move the lenses to focus the cameras in the reconnaissance Spitfires. When the Lines brothers got their first contract to make a load of model trains for, I believe, Marks and Spencer's, and they used the Rovex brand for that. They got their motors as surplus off of the RAF in a massive bulk order, quite cheap. And then they later on obviously produced their own, which were direct copies. This one is a Triang copy. I do have an original Rovex logo, which will have an RAF surplus motor. So that's the one we just did. So now we want to get these wheels back and test. Not navigation, stupid. Recon, obviously. Never mind, Sam. Never mind. There we go, that fits now. Much better. Much, much better. Oh, I had no idea that was the origin. Well, now you do. One day, I'm going to make some modifications to my camera stand so that it doesn't have quite such a large boom for me to keep hitting. Because of course it's more than big enough for me to move the camera around. It doesn't need to be a giant boom, but it is. Oh, that feels like that's gone straight into place. It's not straight, but it's in place. And I am only trial fitting, so, you know, I thought it'd be nice to end the stream. I want to see the Rovex logo. I will try and remember to dig it out, Max, and I'll stick a picture up on Twitter. It is a LMS Princess that would continue to be re-released by Triang for many, many years. The only difference with mine is that it says Rovex on the bottom rather than Triang. But I do have it, so I shall see if I can remember to dig it out and stick some photos up on Twitter or something. So all you people out there who are restoring Recon Spitfires, get yourself a Rovex Princess and watch the collectors scream at you. Well, actually, so me and Christopher had this discussion. That one's also too far forward. Again, this is why we trial fit these things. Let's check the other side. Me and Christopher had this discussion the other day. If you got a Rovex Princess, took the motor out, does it have plunger pickups? Yes, yes it does. Took the motor out and then used that motor to, in a build of a Recon Spitfire. Does that count as a preserved Spitfire or a new build? Right, so that brake gear is at the wrong angle, but it looks like the sandbox is okay. It might need moving slightly. So we do have some minor adjustments to make next week, which is fine. We expect minor adjustments to have to be made. It does, however, mean we can't end this week's stream seeing the logo up on its wheels. That's awesome. It is quite awesome. That's why when the opportunity to own it arose, I went straight in for it. There was no way I was letting that be passed me by. There we go. It's the fabled Brighton 422 tank engine. Very little known. By some restoration jobs, clearly a preserved one. It's funny, I think we're probably thinking of the same restoration job there, Sam. Yes, the little known about Brighton 422 tank engine. Cab roof on, there we go. Much better. Wasn't very well balanced. They should really have moved the driver back a bit. Maybe made it a bit bigger as well. It's an interesting freelance project. Have you seen my G-Class tank engine, Sam? There's an interesting freelance project. But anyway, folks, as I'm sure you all know, the reason I have put that together like that and given us some form of picture of what it will look like when it's done. We'll slide the other wheel in. We'll pretend it's attached. There we go, it's fine. No, surely not one concerning LB&SCR Pacific. No, not at all, Sam. Definitely not a restoration project concerning an LB&SCR Pacific. Time to turn your engine into a pumpkin. Exactly, James. It is midnight. Sounds interesting. I'll dig out some pictures for you, Sam, and pop them over to you on RM Web. It is indeed that time where we have to say goodnight. We are going to have a final drink before we do. So I would like to thank everyone for joining me tonight. I think we've made quite good progress here. We now have a chassis that is, for all intents and purposes, finished. It just needs a bit of fettling. We have a motor that is refurbished, ready to go in. So the i3 project is moving along at great speeds. I am very, very happy with how it is going. I am very happy to be sat here doing it with you all. I thank you all for joining me. I have been Gary. This has been Let's Build. You have been awesome. Good night, everybody.